Sometimes we complicate something that was meant to be so simple, so natural, so deeply personal. We think we need special words, perfect sentences, or a certain language to speak to Allah. We wait for the right moment, the right mood, or the right level of piety. But the truth is, Allah is waiting for you exactly as you are. You don't need perfection to talk to Him. You need sincerity. Think about it. When your heart is heavy, when your chest feels tight, when your mind is full of worries, who do you turn to first? People may listen, yes, but they don't fully understand. They don't know what's hidden deep inside you. But Allah does. He knows the thoughts you haven't even spoken. He understands the tears you try to hide. Speak to Allah with sincerity, not perfection. This is where the journey truly begins. Many people hold themselves back from making dua simply because they feel they are not good enough. They think their past mistakes, their sins, or their current state disqualifies them from turning to Allah. But this thinking itself is a barrier that keeps the heart distant. The reality is that Allah never asked for perfection before communication. He asked for sincerity. He asked for a heart that turns to Him honestly, even if it is broken, even if it is struggling, even if it feels unworthy. Perfection is something we associate with people, with appearances, with how we present ourselves to the world. We polish our words, we choose what to say carefully, we try to impress others with how we sound. But when it comes to Allah, there is no need for performance. There is no audience to impress. There is no expectation for you to sound eloquent or flawless. Allah already knows everything about you, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So pretending to be perfect in front of Him doesn't bring you closer. In fact, it creates a distance because it is not real. Sincerity, on the other hand, is raw. It is honest. It is when you come to Allah exactly as you are, without trying to hide your flaws or decorate your words. It is when you admit, Ya Allah, I am weak. It is when you say, Ya Allah, I keep making the same mistake and I don't know how to stop. It is when your words may be simple, but your heart is fully present. That is what makes a dua powerful, not the structure of the sentence, but the state of the heart behind it. Sometimes people delay making dua because they feel they need to fix themselves first. They think, let me become more religious, let me correct my habits, let me clean up my life, and then I will start talking to Allah. But this is a misunderstanding. Talking to Allah is not the result of becoming better. It is the path to becoming better. You don't wait to be perfect to speak to Him. You speak to Him so that He helps you grow, guides you, and strengthens you. There is also a misconception that you must always use formal or memorized duas to be heard. While those are beautiful and powerful, they are not the only way to connect. Allah understands every language, every whisper, every unspoken thought. If your heart speaks in your own language, then speak in that language. If your emotions are too overwhelming for structured words, then let those emotions flow. Even silence, when filled with intention and presence, is a form of communication with Allah. Sincerity also means being consistent, even when you don't feel spiritually high. There will be days when your iman feels strong and your du'as feel deep and emotional. But there will also be days when you feel distracted, tired, or distant. On those days, shaitan may whisper that your dua is not good enough, that it lacks depth, that you should wait until you feel better. But sincerity is not about emotional intensity every single time. It is about showing up again and again, even in your weakest state, and still turning to Allah. When you let go of the idea of perfection, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. You begin to see dua not as a task that must be done in a certain way, but as a natural conversation. You talk to Allah in moments you never thought of before, while walking, while sitting quietly, even in the middle of your daily routine. You stop overthinking your words and start focusing on your connection. And the beautiful thing is that Allah responds to that sincerity in ways you may not immediately recognize. Sometimes the response comes as ease in your heart, sometimes as clarity in your mind, sometimes as a door opening that you didn't expect. The response is always there, but it may not always look the way you imagined. That is why sincerity also requires trust. Trust that Allah hears you, understands you, and knows what is best for you. When you speak with sincerity, you also develop humility. You recognize your need for Allah, your dependence on Him, and your inability to control everything on your own. This humility is what softens the heart and strengthens the connection. It removes arrogance and replaces it with a deep sense of reliance on the one who has complete power over everything. So let go of the pressure to sound perfect. Let go of the fear that your words are not good enough. Let go of the idea that you must reach a certain level before you can turn to Allah. Come as you are with all your imperfections, all your struggles, and all your hopes. Because sincerity is not about having the right words. It is about having a heart that truly wants to connect. A heart that turns back again and again, no matter how many times it has drifted away. Build a personal, honest connection with your Creator. This is what transforms dua from a ritual into something alive, something deeply meaningful. Many people see their relationship with Allah as distant, formal, and limited to specific acts of worship. They pray, they recite, they raise their hands at certain times. But beyond that, the connection feels weak or even absent. The missing element is not effort, it is personal connection. It is the ability to see Allah not only as the Creator you worship, but as the one you turn to in every moment of your life. A personal connection means that Allah is not only remembered in times of crisis, but also in moments of calm. It means that your relationship with Him is not built only on need, but also on recognition, gratitude, and closeness. When something goes wrong, you naturally say, Ya Allah, help me. But when something goes right, do you feel that same urge to say, Ya Allah, thank you? This shift from occasional remembrance to constant awareness is what makes the connection real. Honesty is the foundation of that connection. Often people feel the need to present themselves in a certain way when they turn to Allah. They feel they must hide their doubts, their fears, even their confusion. But Allah already knows what is in your heart. He knows what you are struggling with, even if you don't say it. So being honest in your connection means you stop pretending. You stop trying to be someone you are not, and instead you come forward with your true self. If you feel distant, say it. If you feel weak in your faith, admit it. If you are confused about something, express it. There is no shame in being honest with Allah. In fact, that honesty is what brings you closer. Because when you acknowledge your reality, you open the door for Allah's guidance to enter your life. A personal connection also means you involve Allah in the details of your life, not just the big decisions or major problems. Talk to Him about your daily struggles, your small worries, your personal goals. If you are nervous about something, tell Him. If you are excited about something, share it. This constant communication builds a sense of closeness that cannot be achieved through occasional formal interactions alone. Think about any strong relationship in your life. It is not built only on major conversations, but on small, consistent interactions. A message here, a call there, a shared moment, a simple check-in. Over time, these small moments create a deep bond. Your relationship with Allah is no different. The more you include Him in your daily life, the stronger that connection becomes. There is also a sense of comfort that comes from a personal connection with Allah. When you know that you can turn to Him at any time without any barrier, you feel less alone. Even in a room full of people, you may feel isolated, but with Allah, you always have someone who understands you completely. This awareness brings peace, even in difficult situations. Honesty in your connection also removes the fear of being judged. With people, we often filter our words because we fear how they will react. We worry about being misunderstood or criticized. But with Allah, there is no such fear. You can say exactly what you feel without holding back. You can cry, you can complain, you can express your pain, and none of it will be rejected. Instead, it will be met with understanding and mercy. As this connection grows, you begin to see changes within yourself. Your reliance on people decreases, and your reliance on Allah increases. You still interact with others, you still seek advice and support, but your heart is no longer dependent on them. It becomes anchored to Allah. This shift gives you strength because your source of support is no longer limited or fragile. You also begin to notice Allah's presence in your life more clearly. Moments that once felt random start to feel meaningful. Doors that open, delays that happen, unexpected ease, all of it begins to feel connected to your relationship with Him. This awareness deepens your trust because you start to see that Allah is not distant at all. He is actively involved in your life, guiding you in ways you may not always understand. Building this kind of connection takes time, but it starts with intention. It starts with a simple decision to turn to Allah more often, to speak more honestly, and to involve Him more personally in your life. There is no complicated formula. It is a gradual process built on small, sincere steps. And as you continue on this path, you will realize that this connection is not just about getting your du'as answered. It is about becoming someone who feels close to Allah, someone who finds peace in His remembrance, someone who no longer sees worship as a burden, but as a source of comfort and strength. It is about transforming your relationship with your Creator into something real, something personal, something that stays with you in every moment, through every high and every low, shaping the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you live your life every single day without ever feeling that distance again. Turn every emotion into a dua. This is one of the most powerful ways to strengthen your connection with Allah and transform your inner world. Human beings are emotional by nature. We feel happiness, sadness, fear, anger, hope, regret, and everything in between. But often we don't know what to do with these emotions. Sometimes we suppress them, sometimes we express them to people who may not fully understand, and sometimes we carry them silently until they become overwhelming. What if every one of those emotions became a bridge between you and Allah? When you begin to turn your emotions into dua, you stop seeing your feelings as something to control or hide, and instead you use them as a means of communication with your Creator. Every emotion becomes an opportunity to speak to Allah. When you are happy, instead of just enjoying the moment and moving on, you say, Ya Allah, thank you for this happiness, protect it for me, and don't let it take me away from you. That simple shift transforms a temporary feeling into an act of worship. When you feel sad, instead of bottling it up or only seeking comfort from people, you turn to Allah and say, Ya Allah, you know why I feel this way, even if I cannot explain it. Ease my heart. In that moment, your sadness is no longer just pain. It becomes a conversation, a connection, a form of relief. You are no longer carrying the burden alone. Fear is another powerful emotion. When something worries you, your mind starts racing with possibilities, often focusing on the worst outcomes. But when you turn that fear into dua, you redirect your thoughts. You say, Ya Allah, I'm afraid of what might happen, but I know you are in control. Protect me from what I fear and give me strength to face what I cannot avoid. That fear then becomes a means of strengthening your trust in Allah rather than weakening your peace. Even anger can be transformed. Anger is often seen as a negative emotion, something to suppress or control. But instead of letting it lead to harmful words or actions, you can pause and turn to Allah. You say, Ya Allah, you see what has hurt me. You know what I am feeling. Help me respond in a way that pleases you. This moment of turning inward and upward prevents regret and replaces it with growth. Regret itself is another emotion that can either weigh you down or lift you up. Many people live with guilt over their past mistakes, replaying them again and again in their minds. But when regret turns into dua, it becomes repentance. You say, Ya Allah, I know I have done wrong. I feel it in my heart. Forgive me and guide me to become better. That regret then becomes a means of purification rather than a source of despair. Hope is also an emotion that should be directed towards Allah. When you hope for something, a goal, a dream, a change in your life, you attach that hope to dua. You say, Ya Allah, this is what I desire, but I trust that you know what is best for me. Grant it to me if it is good for me, and replace it with something better if it is not. This kind of hope keeps your heart balanced. You desire, but you do not become dependent on the outcome because your trust is in Allah. What makes this approach so powerful is that it creates a constant connection. Instead of limiting your communication with Allah to specific times, you are now connected to Him throughout your day. Every emotional shift becomes a reminder of Him. Every feeling becomes a reason to turn back to Him. This consistency strengthens your relationship in a natural and effortless way. Over time, you begin to notice a change in how you handle life. Your emotions no longer control you in the same way because they are constantly being processed through dua. You are not ignoring your feelings, but you are not being overwhelmed by them either. You are channeling them into something meaningful, something that brings peace and clarity. You also develop a deeper awareness of Allah's presence. When every emotion leads you back to Him, you begin to feel that He is always near. You are not just remembering Him in moments of worship, but in moments of real, raw human experience. This awareness creates a sense of comfort that is difficult to describe. It is the feeling that no matter what you are going through, you have a direct line to the one who understands it completely. Another beautiful aspect of turning emotions into dua is that it strengthens your sincerity. Your duas are no longer just words you repeat, they are expressions of what you truly feel. There is no gap between your heart and your tongue. What you say reflects what is inside you, and that authenticity makes your connection stronger. It also teaches you reliance. Instead of relying solely on people to process your emotions, you begin to rely on Allah. You still seek support from others when needed, but your primary source of comfort becomes your Creator. This shift protects you from disappointment because people may fail to understand you, but Allah never does. As you continue to practice this, your entire perspective on life begins to change. Challenges become opportunities to turn to Allah. Joy becomes a reason to thank Him. Pain becomes a reason to seek His help. Every moment, no matter how big or small, becomes meaningful because it brings you closer to Him. And slowly you realize that your emotions were never meant to push you away from Allah, but to pull you closer, guiding your heart back to Him again and again in a way that feels natural, honest, and deeply personal. Consistency in turning to Allah, even in small moments, is what transforms a believer's relationship from something occasional into something constant, living, and deeply rooted. Many people think that connection with Allah is built only through big acts, long prayers, emotional du'as, or moments of hardship where they feel completely dependent. While those moments are powerful, they are not what sustain the relationship. What truly builds and strengthens it is what happens in the small, ordinary moments that often go unnoticed. It is easy to turn to Allah when life becomes overwhelming, when you are in difficulty, when you feel helpless, when everything seems out of your control, your heart naturally calls out. But what happens when things are going well? What happens when life feels normal, stable, or even comfortable? This is where consistency is tested, because a strong connection with Allah is not only about remembering Him in your lowest points, but also about remembering Him when you feel like you don't need to. Small moments carry more weight than we realize. A simple Alhamdulillah when something goes right, even if it seems insignificant. A quiet, Ya Allah, make this easy for me before starting a task. A brief thought of gratitude when you notice a blessing in your life. These small acts may take only a few seconds, but they have a lasting impact on your heart. They create a habit of turning to Allah regularly without waiting for a specific reason. Consistency is not about doing a lot at once. It is about doing something regularly, no matter how small it is. A person who remembers Allah a little every day builds a stronger connection than someone who only turns to Him occasionally with intensity. This is because consistency keeps the heart alive. It prevents distance from forming. It keeps your awareness of Allah present even when life becomes busy or distracting. One of the challenges people face is the idea that their small efforts are not enough. They think, what difference does it make if I make a short dua? Or this is too small to matter. But in reality, those small moments are what shape your relationship over time. They are like drops of water that eventually fill a container. Each one may seem insignificant on its own, but together they create something meaningful and complete. Turning to Allah consistently also changes how you experience your day. Instead of moving from one task to another without reflection, you begin to see your day as filled with opportunities to connect. Waking up becomes a moment of gratitude. Eating becomes a moment of appreciation. Leaving your home becomes a moment of trust in Allah's protection. Returning home becomes a moment of relief and thanks. Your daily routine, which once felt ordinary, becomes filled with purpose. Another important aspect of consistency is that it keeps your heart soft. When you go long periods without remembering Allah, your heart can become distant, distracted, and even hardened. You may find it harder to focus in prayer or feel disconnected during acts of worship. But when you maintain small, regular moments of remembrance, your heart stays engaged. It remains aware, responsive, and open. Consistency also builds discipline in a gentle way. It teaches you that your connection with Allah is not dependent on your mood. There will be days when you feel motivated and spiritually uplifted, and there will be days when you feel tired, distracted, or even unwilling. In those moments, consistency means you still turn to Allah, even if it is in the simplest way. This effort, even when it feels small, is incredibly valuable because it shows commitment. Over time, these small acts begin to feel natural. You no longer have to remind yourself to turn to Allah. It becomes your default response. When something happens, your heart instinctively turns to Him. This is when consistency has truly taken root. It is no longer something you force. It is something that flows naturally from within you. Another benefit of consistency is that it strengthens your trust in Allah. When you regularly turn to Him, you begin to notice how He responds in your life. You see how small du'as bring ease, how simple acts of remembrance bring peace, and how regular connection brings clarity. These experiences build your confidence that Allah is always there, always listening, and always responding in the best way. Consistency in small moments also protects you from spiritual highs and lows that are too extreme. Instead of having periods of strong connection followed by long periods of distance, your relationship becomes stable. It may not always feel intense, but it remains steady. And this steadiness is what allows your faith to grow over time without fading away. It is important to remember that Allah does not look at the size of your actions, but at their sincerity and consistency. A small act done regularly with a sincere heart is more beloved than a large act done occasionally without consistency. This understanding removes the pressure to do more than you can handle and encourages you to focus on what you can maintain. So begin with small steps. A few words of dua, a moment of gratitude, a quiet remembrance in the middle of your day. Do not underestimate these moments. They are building something within you, something that grows stronger with time. They are creating a connection that does not depend on circumstances, but remains with you in every situation. And as you continue, you will realize that these small, consistent moments are not small at all. They are the foundation of a relationship that stays with you in every moment of your life, guiding your heart back to Allah again and again until it becomes impossible to feel truly distant from Him anymore.